Yo, yo, yo! We back. We back. There's been a lot of time off here recently, it feels like, man, but it is good to be back, you legends. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday, I hope. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Yeah. Considering the circumstances, my weekend was good, you know. I got to see a lot of family I hadn't seen in a long time, you know. Wish circumstances would have been better, but you know, it was still good. And I hope you guys all had a great weekend, man. It's good to be back as always. I hate having to take time off and be away, but it happens, and it's important sometimes. Maybe a bit of a refresher too, to just get the mind right, get back into the swing of things here. And we're gonna try to finish up Fallout New Vegas today. Well, not finish it up today. We're gonna push hard for a finish this week. So that's what we're going to be doing. Push for a finish of Fallout New Vegas so we can start moving into something new. I think that's what we're going to be pushing for here. We got a lot of new games that we're interested in coming out between the this month and the end of next month, as well as, you know, we're already pushing into the schedule of you know, what we had planned to go ahead and start playing this month and everything. So, you know, it's we'll figure it out. We'll get it done. And I want to go ahead and get Fallout New Vegas summed up so we can move forward with our schedule and maybe not feel like I left a chapter of our gaming playthroughs just open and unfinished, you know. So that's what we're gonna try to do. But hope you guys are doing well. Let's go ahead and do what we do, baby. Let's get in here and let's jump into video gaming news for today, February 12th. Let's go. Let's see what we got. Okay. So, you know what we should probably do? Set this for actually a custom range of Friday through today. Let's do that. Yeah. Since we weren't here all weekend long, let's make sure we're not missing anything important in the industry that's happened over the weekend, since we didn't get to do any news segments. Okay. Helldivers 2 reinforces the way Sony releases PlayStation games. Helldivers 2 concurrent Steam player record is a PlayStation Studios high. Interesting. Blowing through estimates. Here's the interesting thing. What I want to look at is how the ratings for the game have changed. It was terrible on release. I actually watched a little bit of this gameplay, and it looks decent. It looks decent. But I was interested in what this game was going to bring to the table initially. And then once I saw how brutal the game looked to begin with, performance-wise, it was a pretty daunting look for what the game was going to be moving forward. But after only about a day and a half of it being released, it did look like they had pushed out some pretty nice, really quick, actually, also, updates to improve the performance. It wasn't like flawless yet or anything, but it was definitely better than it was on the initial release. So let's along with this just pull up some Helldivers 2 Metacritic, okay? I know I have a Metacritic. Where's it at? There it is. Let's go. Oh wow. Much better now. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, and let's pause that. We don't need that running. What has Phil Spencer reassured his employees here? What is this? Reassured employees Microsoft won't stop making Xbox consoles. I think that I never expected their hardware to go away. I just didn't expect them to move forward with their hardware being the same thing as it ever was. I think that they're going to move towards more of a thin client type of hardware, a smaller form factor type of hardware that plays better towards their service offerings. I think that a handheld, much in the same form of like a Switch, would play much better for Microsoft and their service offerings than traditional hardware will anymore. I've said that for a while. That's just my own perspective on that situation. I don't see Xbox totally giving up on the hardware for their platform. I just think that it's going to be an evolution moving forward to better fit what they're doing as far as offerings for their services and stuff. Again, if you're not aware, and we'll read and we'll talk more about this when we pull that article up, Xbox has never, ever been able to compete on the same front for hardware sales as the other console manufacturers, PlayStation and Nintendo, right? Not even close on making both fronts of making profit from sales of their hardware. You can look at even this generation of consoles for Microsoft, the X and S. One of them they lose money, the other one they make a little bit of money off of, but it's a very, very minimal amount of money, and therefore they literally kind of just break even. It's been that way for them a long time with many of their consoles. And how tall is a 45-inch monitor? It should tell you. So, I don't know off the top of my head. 45-inch monitor is being measured from like the bottom corner to the top opposite corner, whichever way you want to measure it, right? So that's how a monitor is measured as far as inches. So how tall is it depends on what you mean about tall. Most of the time you consider that to be how wide it is, right? And then how tall. Yeah, most monitors are relatively the same amount of height. Yeah, and but they do vary. You just need to look at whatever monitor specifically you're looking at. It'll tell you the dimensions. They'll tell you the dimensions, dude. So whatever monitor you're specifically interested in, if you'll go to their support page or whatever page you're looking at for that monitor, you can look at the dimensions. It'll tell you the height, the width, the thickness of the monitor. It'll tell you everything. So, I don't know. They all vary. Go look it up, man. Go look it up. Yeah, the bezels on the side and stuff, yeah, they're much better nowadays than they used to be. Like my monitor, even here, I've had this monitor for probably about 4 years now, and it's very, very minimal bezel on it and stuff. The bottom of it has more of one, but the top and the sides, there's very little bezel. It's mostly just screen. Yeah. How you doing, Soup? How was your weekend, buddy? Just a second, and I'll address all that after I finish this. Dude, I was like kind of towards the end of what I was talking about there anyways, but we'll talk more about that when we get into this Microsoft, this Phil Spencer issue with their hardware and stuff. But they've never made very much money on their hardware anyways. They've never sold nearly even, usually they sell about half of what either Nintendo or PlayStation does. And so they're going to pivot away from that in a large part, I think. You'll see that coming by the next iteration of where they would be pushing out their next console. I think that you'll see something different. It's going to be more aimed at getting people onto their platform for services and stuff than it is pushing, something to compete with like what PS5 is pushing out. I think you'll see that. And let's see what Soup's talking about here. Soup's in here spreading violence already this morning, you know. Starfield on PlayStation, we already knew about that. Spencer should have done it way back. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. That would have been a stupid business move. Nope. It's just like every other. This is the difference. I talked about this last week. So just because Microsoft is saying that they're going to release their first-party games on other platforms, like potentially Nintendo and PlayStation, and we already know that Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Starfield, those are some of the first games that are being talked about right now about heading over to other competitors' platforms like Nintendo and PlayStation, right? Doing it right away is not going to happen. With any of their games that are still first-party proprietary games, you're not going to see most of them hit other platforms day one. That's still a stupid move business-wise. They still have a huge platform, Xbox does. Their golden goose is their subscription service. So if they were to release their first-party games on other platforms and everything, that eliminates the possibility of bringing in huge clientele, huge customer base, subscription base, right, to their own platforms. It's not going to happen. I've talked about this. It won't happen, dude. Now, it is smart that, in my opinion, they are the ones leading the charge and showing that it is going to be beneficial to release titles on other platforms relatively quick after their initial release. It's going to be better for them financially. Now, Nintendo and PlayStation are more traditional. They don't want things to evolve on that front. They want things to stay the way they always have. Nintendo and PlayStation want to continue to sell their hardware. They want proprietary software. They don't want it to be on any other platform. They don't want it on subscription services, even their own subscription services. And they want people buying into their platform the way they always have. They want people buying their hardware for their proprietary games. And I see what Xbox has done as a more... and again, I think it's the catalyst behind it is because Xbox has been put into a position where they've needed to be doing things like this to be more competitive. They haven't been as lucrative on this front as PlayStation and Nintendo have been on the traditional ways that console players have played the market, you know? But it's also showing, I think, a lot of gamers that Xbox is a nicer platform willing to give people access to content, whereas PlayStation and Nintendo still aren't, you know? And here's the thing. When you talk about the fact of people are like, oh, well, Xbox is done. Xbox is going to be going down the same route as like Sega or any of those other, Atari or any of those other companies. They're dying out, you know? I don't see that happening. But nobody should want that. Nobody should want that. Competition is needed. Competition is needed. It's something that is a catalyst for competitors to constantly be increasing their level of needing to compete with their competitors by having high quality products, whether it be hardware or software, as well as a lower price point, right? What up, Ferret? So when you talk about the fact of like, you know, we've got all these people in the gaming enthusiasts that are like, Nintendo's the best, or PlayStation's the best, or Xbox is the best, or whatever. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how big of a fan you are of one or the other. You don't want a competitor like this to die out of the market. You don't want it. It's not good. As much as you might be a fan of their competitor, you don't want it, because what it means is that your company is not going to have as much necessity to compete anymore. So the quality of their hardware and software, their products, is quite potentially going to decline. as well as their prices are probably going to increase. That's the way business works. So be very careful what you ask for. Be very careful, because you could be in for a world of hurt if you get what you ask for. What are you talking about, Soup? iPhone has ray tracing. iPhone has Apple tracing, dude. Get out of here. Who uses iPhones anyways? What is that, bro? What type of tech / gaming enthusiast actually uses iPhones? What is this? See, I can choose violence too, bro. Oh man. Oh, bro. But dude, for real, Soup, I mean, according to like what you were asking about that specific monitor, dude, you should be able to just do a Google search about that monitor. You should be able to get all the statistics about its physical measurements and specifications to know exactly how big it will be. You know, you should be able to find that very easily with a Google search, man. The old Google machine. Yeah, we knew this was coming. How's everybody's weekend been? How was your weekend, guys? Let's see what else we got. YouTube makes it look like it's tiny. Well, that's what I mean, dude. You know, it's that's like movie magic stuff. You know what I mean? You know, there's always tricks where, I mean, they probably didn't do it on purpose. It was just probably the way they shot it or whatever. But yeah, that's why you always need to look at actual specifications. One moment. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you know, we've seen so many movies have done such a good job of it, you know, over the years. And I mean, you know, you talk about the Lord of the Rings is one of the first one that comes to mind. You know, Lord of the Rings and the way that they did the different kinds, or you know, you talk about a movie like Elf as well, right? And a lot of it's just the different tricks that you can do with the sets and the camera angles and getting people closer to the lens and people farther away from the lens and stuff like that to make some people look a lot smaller and some people look a lot taller or bigger. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a lot of stuff, but sometimes it just happens, you know, accidentally. Also, you know, it just does. But that's why I think it's important to, like, again, if you're interested in, like I said, I mean, I know Soup's talking about like getting a whole new setup and everything, and you know, you can't just go off of like what you're perceiving through any kind of still image or a video or what. You need to actually like pull in your specifications, dude, for whatever you're interested in buying, to make sure that that's going to, you know, measurements are your friend, dude. Tape measure, make notes, you know what I mean, whether it be digital or physical notes, whatever, about everything that you're trying to plan out for your space, for your setup and everything, and actually you know, get the actual dimensions and specifications from the manufacturer's website and stuff to make sure that everything's going to be lining up right, you know. Yeah. Absolutely, dude. That's absolutely right. Yep. It's a very, very wise thing. It applies to a lot. It applies to things like cooking as well. It's like, and you always want to use, cut less than you think you'll need to cut. That way, if you need to cut a little bit more, you can, or put in a little bit less than you think you'll need, because you can always put a little bit more. You can't take away from a lot of the things you're mixing together or whatever, right? That's like a very tried and true sentiment with a lot of things in life, dude. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, dude. The Apple Vision Pro. Siri isn't a carpenter, bro. Bro, that was a perfect response, man. Very well played. That's funny, man. Yo, did anybody grab Lethal Company over the weekend? It was on sale on Steam, dude. We've talked about this. You have it? Nice, dude. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's not an expensive game in the first place. We're gonna be playing it probably September and October here in the channel. September to kind of get us on the weekends. We'll probably be playing Lethal Company on the weekends in September. Get us prepared, get us kind of ready for the Scaretober vibes, And then we'll play it through Scaretober too, for something for the community to do together, And it was 30% off over the weekend. So I was telling everybody before I left on Friday. Mike sound, yeah, I know. I've seen a lot of clips and highlights and stuff of the game. It's like hard to avoid. I'm trying not to like be spoiled on it or anything, but yeah, I've seen. I know an amount about it right now, but I've been trying to avoid spoilers. But I do know that that's like, part of it's like actually, not just in game being quiet. It's part of like even your voice, your VoIP for the game and stuff. You need to be quiet with that and everything too at times. It's really wild. It's a bang, dude. People are loving it. Pinky's been playing the crap out of it too, and that's why I was trying to tell people this weekend that like if you were interested in playing in September or October to maybe pick it up because it was 30% off. And I went ahead and snagged it, even though it's not expensive to begin with. It's only like $10. Yeah, I know. Yeah, tons of mods already and stuff. Yep. So we can talk about what kind of mods we might want to run for it. That'll be cool. But it was only like $7 for the weekend. Yeah. 45 inches huge. Well, I mean, maybe 27 to 30 plus. You talking about? Hey Siri, tell Parrot to do. That's always Soup's response to anybody that comes at him. Noob. I'm starting to feel like it's a term of endearment, actually. What do you mean? 27 to 30 plus what? Dude, I like this song. We're jamming. What's 27 to 30 plus? Yeah, but what inches are you talking about? Are you talking about the height with the total width? Because again, yeah, 45 inches, when you're measuring monitors and stuff and TVs and everything, it goes from one corner to the top of the other corner, right? From like the bottom corner to the opposite top corner, right? You don't know? What's it telling you that 27 to 30 inches is, dude? Oh, you're a trip, bro. Oh, man. There should be like height, which would probably, they're considering this being in a vertical or a horizontal orientation, right? So they would say that the height would be this way, the width would be this way, or the length would be this way. The width would be how thick the monitor is, right? What monitor? He put the model number up in chat a little bit higher. That's what I was telling. He's like, how long is this monitor? And I was like, I don't know. Look it up, dude. Well, again, most monitors, when they're telling you it's a 32-inch monitor, they're telling you it's a 32-inch monitor because monitors are measured from at an angle, right? So it's normally going to be maybe a little bit less lengthwise than it would be what they're telling, because it's an angled kind of thing, right? At least that's the way it used to be. It always was measured that way. So like what, like a 32-inch monitor be closer to like a 30-inch length or something? I don't know. Something like that, I think. Oh, bro. Has anybody even used an Apple Vision Pro? You know I haven't. Yeah, width, height, depth. Okay, so that's what they do. Not like width and length. Okay, width, height, depth. So your depth's actually going to be like what I was saying the width would be. So a 42-inch monitor is going to be 39 inches, just over 39 inches in length or width, right? So this way. No, it's not. That's depth. You donut. Depth is how thick the monitor is, dude. Wait, 14.3? That can't be right, dude. Yeah, what? Oh, that was with the stand. I was going to say, dude. Yeah, so they should tell you the without the stand. Usually they'll tell you without the stand too. They're normally not very, because with the stand, yeah, that makes sense. Times dimension. What dimension are you living in, dude? God dang. Yo, thanks, Ferret. Appreciate it. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. So like with a 42-inch, it's you know, you're measuring they measure the screens at an angle. So from one corner on the bottom to the opposite top corner. So normally it's going to be like a 42-inch, you're about 3 inches shorter. At a like a 34-inch, you're about 2 inches shorter, something like that. You know what I mean, for the length. Yeah. Or the width, excuse me. Thanks, Ferret. Appreciate it, buddy. Nothing but a scratch. That's right. It's merely a flesh wound. Hades 2, bring it, baby. I'm ready. We have Helldivers 2 article up, so we're going to take a look. We have a couple, actually. Yeah, and I think Ubi actually did a solid job with The Lost Crown, Prince of Persia. You know, it's the first time I've seen them do a pretty solid job with a game in quite some time. I think that Mirage was fine, but it's just the same thing we saw in the early days of Assassin's Creed. It didn't look like anything really different, you know? Ultros review. Okay. This is the really just... It looks like somebody made this game just on some nice psychedelics, dude. This game looks wild. Hold on. We'll take a look at it. Switch 2 has a huge feature that the original Switch does not, rumor says. Let's see what the rumors are saying, okay? Tarkov's about to get his first microtransactions. Ooh! Yikers. Whoa, what? Dead Cell support to end following the next update. Interesting. Yeah, I know. That's what I was kind of thinking too. It did feel kind of clickbaity, but because it's saying a rumor too, which is there's going to be nothing official, nothing substantial really to be had out of that article. But, you know, I've been gone all weekend. Let's just make something out of the news here and see what we can maybe... Well, let's see what they're talking about. Let's see if they're, you know, what they're trying to get people to buy into here. That could potentially be something on the new hardware, right? Backwards compatibility? Good luck. What, you mean that it's not actually going to come out until 2035? Is that what you mean, Soup? Yeah, we know. Or you mean that you'll have to, like, literally work the rest of your life just to play the game? You know, everything that you make will just go towards playing the game. You won't even be able to afford the basic necessities of life. We know. We know. Bro. Pal World has lost 2/3 of its players in 2 weeks. I don't think that that's a real big surprise for me. This game, you know, one of the reasons I popped out of it was because it needed more bacon time. Bacon? Hungry. You know, Pal World is an amazing game. It's got a lot of potential. Huge amount of potential, but it needs still needs some work. It's early access. That was to be expected from me. I absolutely enjoyed the amount of time that I had spent in it, which was roughly 50 to 60 hours, I think, and it was fantastic. And I expected that at some point, you know, most people, the game is phenomenal. It has shattered numerous records, and you know, for all the Pokemon haters out there, you should be praising this game for what it's potentially going to be doing for giving Pokemon a competitor out there, and prompting Pokemon to elevate their software moving forward, evolving it even, you know. Instead of hating on this game, it's what a lot of the Pokemon fans needed to do. They should have looked at this as something that was going to benefit them, not something that they needed to be hating on. But that's the way people like to hate, you know, and that's what they did. But this game broke tons of records. I think, you know, coming from an independent developer, you've got to look at this as, you know, what an absolute win for them and for the gaming industry to have an independent developer do such an amazing job here. Obviously, it's not going to be a game that appeals to everybody, and that's okay. But it appealed to a lot of people, and a lot of people really liked what they experienced, even with the rough edges, even with the polishing that still needed to be done. That is something that you know, holds a lot of weight there for what this game still needed to be polished and finished and everything, for so many people to still love it and to be able to the content to be so good that they were willing to overlook the issues that were still needing to be taken care of. That's substantial. And we love indie developers. We love seeing indie developers thrive. They're, you know, in my opinion, the the part of the industry that continues to bring forth very unique, very inventive, you know, amazing, you know, pieces of video gaming software, really kind of pushes the envelope for what we see moving forward. Quite often is from indie developers, and I think this is just another prime example of that. I think they've done a great job, but it was inevitable. Many people got in here from the get-go. Many people were playing this game. This happens to every game. Every game goes through this, right? As new content is developed for this game, it'll ramp back up. But every game goes through its peaks and valleys, with people getting kind of where they reach the end of the content, or you know, the things of that nature, and they kind of put it down for a while and wait for new content to come out, and then they'll get back into it and stuff. So it's just one of those things that's going to happen with this game, you know. And I think that what you'll see is, as we get to where they move towards a full release is going to have this game ramping back up hugely, I think, you know. So we'll see what happens. But it's been an amazing experience. It really has. For all those haters out there like Soup, trying to hate on Pal World, you know. Soup hates on everything because it's everything. Nothing is GTA 6. So if it's not GTA 6, Soup's gonna hate on it, you know. Kojimbo, what? Kojimbo, bro, I'm gonna start using that. That's flipping funny, dude. Didn't he just have a movie trailer? Didn't he say basically? Yeah, so they announced the God, what's the name of that game? The second game with Norman Reedus in it. This one. For Death Stranding 2. So they announced that, they showed that, but they also showed this weird other game that, in my opinion, is concerning, because it looks more like a movie than it really does any kind of video game, you know. But it's being promoted as a video game, even though they're talking about how much it's intertwining movie with video game making and stuff, you know. So yeah, in my opinion, I don't like seeing a lot of that in the gaming industry. That's not a video game to me. That's a cinematic experience with some interactivity in it. I'm not a fan of it. I've seen enough of it. I don't need it. If I want to watch a movie, I'll go watch a movie. You know, it's beyond me. I don't enjoy it, and that's where it looks like a lot of Kojima stuff's going. You know, yo, that's exactly what I was getting ready to talk about. Soup, yeah. Sega reports weak game sales in latest financial quarter. Yeah, I mean, I doubt it really has to do with that, but it is disgusting. Again, if nobody has heard about this Sega debacle here, Sega and RGG, the developer behind the Like a Dragon games, they released. So Sega's the publisher, right? They released Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and they paywalled New Game Plus. It's actually terribly disgusting. I've been trying to prompt people to not support Sega until they fix this stuff. It's pretty disgusting. Here's the video of it. Really, really gross. This is something that if people allow this to happen, us people as consumers and video game enthusiasts, if we allow companies to do this kind of thing to us, if we support this, if we buy these games where they do this to us, this is something that is going to continue to snowball. Talking about companies paywalling things like New Game Plus, this is going to lead to something even worse. Paywalling accessibility options, paywalling flipping, you know, visual. I mean, you name it, dude. Paywalling, flipping, button mapping. Dude, it's going to get worse and worse and worse if we allow this kind of crap to happen. So, in my opinion, this is absolutely unacceptable. It's disgusting. This should never be something that is paywalled. And Sega should be ashamed. RGG should be ashamed. And everybody should be kind of just boycotting Sony until they backtrack. Or not Sony, but Sega and RGG until they backtrack and they fix this. And give the gamers, everybody that buys Infinite Wealth, New Game Plus. It's disgusting. Oh, what'd you think of it, Tim? And what's up, buddy? Yep. Yep. Yo, dude, I mean, that's about what I expected out of it. You know what I mean? That's about what I expected. Yeah. I've been trying to advise anybody interested in the game at all to just wait. Wait until it releases. See what the reviews are saying about it. You know, save yourself some buyer's remorse. Because, you know, it's funny, we ran across an article on Friday, I think, where they, you know, it was, the CEO of Ubi was like, this is a quadruple A game. It was hilarious reading that, by the way. This is a quadruple A game, and that's why it's definitely worth a $70 price point. You know, I was like, give me a break, dude. You know, like, come on. The reason you guys are making people pay a $70 price point is because you need to try to recoup some of the money that you spent over the past 12 years of trying to develop and release this game that has been an absolute mess. You know, let's be real about what's happening here. This is not something that's going to blow people's minds. You know, the premise of the game is always going to be intriguing for people. It's pirates, dude. You're a pirate, man. It's intriguing. People want to be a pirate. You know, people want to be, you know, that Pirates of the Caribbean. They want that notion of being able to sail around and plunder and take on other crews and stuff like that. You know, but my inkling of Ubi being able to bring that into the fold in a very good manner in this piece of software was, you know, a very fun way. It was, I was not very hopeful, you know, just not. Oh, for real? Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I mean, I've said that about a lot of games here recently, you know. I think that that's absolutely true, dude. I think that, you know, Skull and Bone, because, you know, all these games that are being touted as games as a service now, right? Well, really, it's just, that's like the new trend word for basically live service games, right? Games as a service. You know, whether you want to talk about something like this, or you want to talk about Suicide Squad, most of these games are not phenomenal when it comes to content. They're not great when it comes to content. You know, what they are subpar content-wise, usually mediocre at best. And they're just riddled with monetization. It's just a way to try to scam people out of a bunch of money. And one of the ways they're doing it is by making people pay up front as well. Yeah? It's like, pay AAA price point for the game and then, you know, get bombarded with, you know, transactions in game as well. It's really gross. And we've talked about this a lot over the years, right? It's we're more understanding of the transactions, the microtransactions, the battle passes, things like that. Whenever you're playing a free-to-play game, but it's really a huge red flag, a huge black flag, if you know. A huge pirate flag, if you will, whenever you see it coming out of a game that is at a AAA price point and everything. Too. I mean, I'm even more accepting of a lower price point game that, you know, they're going to be putting a lot of monetization in, but most of the time these games just aren't very good. It's just a huge play for money out of people. Pay us up front for the software and then get smashed constantly with microtransactions and battle passes and DLC and you name it, whatever. Pay us, right? It's weird. Right. Yeah, exactly, Timlin. Yep. Yeah, I think that's one of the more daunting parts about that whole mechanic too, of a game being at a $70 price point and then being a live service after the fact as well, where they're just polluting it with monetization schemes and mechanics and everything. Is if they feel like they got enough out of it in the first place and there aren't enough people playing the game, they're not going to feel like supporting that game moving forward, right? But when they don't, when it's more of a free-to-play title, I feel like there are more people willing to play the game and try it out and be a part of it. And the population sits there, and it prompts the developer to be invested in that piece of software more for the long haul, right? It seems like it anyways. Interesting. Good to know, dude. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I was wondering if anybody was going to play the beta. That's about what I expected out of it, to be honest. I do know that the beta progress carries over too. So if anybody, is the beta over now? Is it done? Is it over? I thought it was over now. Yeah. I can't remember what the exact dates were. It was like what, the 8th through ended last night. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was just mostly over the weekend. Yeah, okay, cool. So, I don't know, man. Again, I appreciate you letting me know. Anybody out there watching, listening, whatever, whether it be live or after the fact, you hearing this, don't buy into this game on release or pre-order or whatever. This game has been in development for way too long, way too much of a tumultuous development process. It is a game that has had way too many red flags, and it deserves for people to just sit back and wait and see what reviews say. And if it seems like reviews are giving you an idea of it's something that you're going to enjoy, by all means, buy into it. Whatever. I think this is going to be a game where it's going to be a better offering on like a subscription service at some point or something, though, rather than a $70 price point. I stick by that, dude. And everything that Tinwin's saying now, I think really, backs up a lot of what my kind of intuition was about what to expect from that title, Yo, Cassian, what up? How you doing, friendo? What do we got here? Well, we're diving into our normal video gaming news segment, stream 6 days a week. Every day we start off at roughly 6 a.m. CST, CDT, and we begin with just seeing what's going on in the world of video games, man. So we start off doing a video gaming news segment. We do Google searches to find all the more recent news that has happened over the past 24 hours. Right now, we're doing over the weekend because I had a death in the family and I needed to bounce out for the weekend. I didn't get to stream this weekend, so I had some family stuff to take care of, so I didn't get to stream this past weekend. So we're trying to play a little bit of catch up for this news segment, but that's what we're doing. We're gonna hash out a bunch of news that's going on in the industry. Well, we've got a bunch of articles up right now, and this is what we do every day. We're just kind of talking about right now. Our buddy Tinwin here had been playing the beta of Skull and Bones, so we were kind of fleshing that out a little bit, but we haven't gotten definitively like into deep diving into our articles yet. You can see all my articles that I have up right here. This is what we do. So we go through a Google search of about 5 pages. And we pick out all the more pertinent articles that we haven't already talked about in previous days, or even if it's news that has come up on the same kind of topic, but it's stuff that we hadn't hashed out yet. We'll pull that up, and then we'll get into each separate article here in a moment, and we'll really start fleshing them out and talking about them and stuff. So I feel like we always have good news. A lot of what we do here is try to promote a healthier industry for us as gaming enthusiasts and consumers and everything, you know what I mean? Try to call out the good companies doing well by us in the industry, and kind of try to call out those bad companies too that people should be careful of, Wait, what? Skull and Bones is the one available on Play Store? Not for PC? No, it is on PC. That's Ubisoft game. Skull and Bones is the Ubisoft game. It's hitting, I think it's hitting all consoles actually, besides maybe Switch. It is for PC, absolutely. Yeah, it's the pirate game. Yeah, but it's been in development for like roughly 12 years now, 11 years, and it's just been delayed like 10 times. It's had a very, very, very rough development process. There's been a lot of, indicators that people should be very careful about what to expect from that game and maybe not buy into it right away. That's what I've been trying to tell people for quite a while about that game, yeah. Oh, no, you're good, dude. You're good. Yeah, that's why we do what we do, man. Everybody that hangs out here, we're just passionate about games, and we try to stay current on what's happening in the industry. And it's all about, I mean, from anything from business acquisitions to businesses that are shutting down to, layoffs in the industry to games that are coming out to games that are shutting down. You name it, dude. We cover all of it. So, if you're wanting to get back current on things, dude, then we do this 6 days a week. I only usually don't stream on Wednesdays. I've just had a little bit of time off here recently because of some family stuff that's unfortunately I had to take care of and everything. But we're back at it, baby. You know what I mean? So come hang out and get back into the know, my friend. Yeah, it's good to have you, Cassian. True. What's up, my friend? Yo, and Tinwin. Hey, man. Yo, appreciate it. Thanks, Cassian. Yo, that's weird. That was kind of a weird. Why did that come up like that? I'm gonna have to take a look at that. That was kind of odd. Should have said your name. I don't know what happened there. Thank you very much, Cassian. I appreciate it, buddy. True, what's up? How was your weekend, my friend? And Tinwin, dude, thank you very much for coming and letting me know what your experience was like, buddy. It was right about exactly what I figured it would be. So, normally we're pretty good about determining how these games are going to play out through their development process when they've had these kind of really rough development projects, and I think it was just another iteration of us being correct, unfortunately. And we'll see when it full releases. But that's a really good indicator there. I appreciate it, Tinwin. As always, buddy, thank you very much. We've talked about the Disney stuff with Epic. We knew this was coming. Yes, we'll talk about the Phil Spencer stuff in a moment. Sega's reporting weak game sales. I just talked about that. I feel like nobody should be supporting Sega right now with them allowing, in conjunction with publishing, the new Infinite Wealth game. And RGG, the developer, paywalling New Game Plus is unacceptable. It should not happen. And in my opinion, nobody should be supporting Sega or RGG right now because that is gross. It sets a very bad precedent moving forward for us as gaming, consumers and, just lovers of video games, that it's going to basically say that if we buy that product, and we are essentially telling Sega and RGG that that's okay. We are okay with you paywalling something like New Game Plus in a game, and it's not okay. People should not be okay with that. That's gross. It's absolutely disgusting, and I will continue to call that out. Again, I linked my video. If you haven't seen it, here, I'll just do it again real quick on the YouTube channel. I'm a little bit behind on YouTube because I've had to take a lot of time off here recently for the family stuff. Last weekend and this weekend. This Wednesday, I should be getting more of the stuff up on YouTube. Some new articles and stuff like that. But this is it right here. If you're not aware, this will give you a better idea about what's happening in the whole Sega RGG deal with paywalling Infinite Wealth. Okay, so that'll give you a breakdown if you want to watch that. Yeah. Jedi Survivor sequel soon. I'll bash on Respawn too. Respawn can get wrecked. Look, Soup is choosing violence this morning. Soup knows how I feel. Soup knows how I feel. Respawn is disgusting with the Jedi games. Jedi Survivor released in a terrible state. That game should have never released when it released. It was wholly unfinished and unacceptable. It was not finished on any platform. It was gross. Should not have happened. That's unacceptable. The internet connectivity is not a crutch to allow developers to finish games after they release them. Games should always be finished on release. Patching unforeseen bugs and adding content to games after the fact is what connectivity is used for. Not a crutch to finish games because you wanted to push it out too soon and bait a bunch of people into buying a broken ass product that you didn't want to finish before you released it. That's absolutely unacceptable. That's another bad thing that has happened in this industry for way too long. We've let companies get away with it and get away with it and get away with it because people continue to buy it. And, companies have been successful on releasing broken, unfinished video games. It's not cool, man. It's not good. They did it with the first Jedi game. And then Jedi Survivor was even worse on release. Are they fixing them? Yeah. But they don't get kudos for that. They don't get kudos. They don't get props. They don't get a pat on the back for fixing a game that should have been in that same state on release anyways. It's terrible to do to us as consumers. It's gross. People have to change their mindset about the way this stuff is working and the way that they treat us, dude, as video game consumers. It's nasty, man. But yeah, they already greenlit the third one before the second one, before Survivor was even fixed. They greenlit it because it was so successful already. That's what, I mean, that should tell you right there how gross that is. Because people buy it because it says Star Wars on it. Pretty rough, man. Whoa. Yo, Farrah, where you at, dog? We might have actually called this, dude. So we have an article up right now, right? Which was Switch 2 has a huge feature the Switch doesn't, reveals rumor. And I was like, yeah, probably backwards compatibility. And I was memeing and started laughing because I didn't expect there could be any way it would be that. Ferret's, I think, lurking right now because of work. But partners are testing Switch 2 backwards compatibility. What do you mean? Nobody said the Switch 2 was going to be released in March. There's a rumor going around that a Nintendo Direct could happen in March to announce it. The reveal, right. Why is that too early? Look, I've been saying for like a year now that I see the new Nintendo hardware releasing sometime late summer, right? Late summer to sometime in the fall, right? Autumn time frame. I don't think that March is... Why would that be too early? It might not happen in March. It might not. But that's the rumor right now. Well, why would it be too early? I don't understand. I'm still not following. Because Direct needs time to space out game releases. What do you mean? Well, look, okay, so this is the same thing as, do you think that they're just going to like totally shut down the Switch? Because they're not. It's like any other console. There's overlap. There's going to be overlap. They know that not every single person is going to buy into the new hardware right away, right? And also, Soup, a lot of the games, what does Nintendo always do? A lot of the games that are already on Nintendo's Switch hardware will be ported over to the new hardware as well. Wait, what? Don't think cross-gen would work on the current Switch that well with our old hardware. It's not that hard to take older games and get them to work on new hardware. That's not the hard thing. The hard thing is getting new games to go backwards, right? And that's not what they're trying to do. That's not what they'll do. They will port a lot of the Switch games on the current platform to play on the new hardware, right? So whether or not people want to buy into the new hardware right away, there's going to be overlap. It happens with every console. It's inevitable because not everybody's going to buy in. And yeah, will software development ramp down now for the original Switch? Absolutely, because that's the way it happens also. But you can look at the history. What's overlap? It's the fact that the Switch isn't just going to be done, right? So you've got the current Switch hardware and platform is not just going to dissolve and go away now that there's new hardware, right? So just because there's new hardware doesn't mean that automatically the previous gen stuff is just going to die and go away. It's a progressive process that happens slowly over time. Yeah. So people are still going to be playing the old Switch. There's still going to be software developers that are making games for the what is currently the Switch, right? Even as people start slowly moving over to the new platform. But Nintendo is always doing this. That's the overlap, right? That's the overlap. It takes time for that older generation of console to slowly be, moved over from and kind of die off, if you will, right? It never totally dies off, but Nintendo makes it happen because Nintendo's real bad about that. But a lot of the games they make for the current gen Switch will be ported over to the new gen too, because that's not the hard thing. The hard thing's not getting the older games to play on the newer hardware. It's the opposite, vice versa. That's why you don't see games from like what we'll call it the Switch 2, right? The games being developed for Switch 2 don't necessarily port well to the old hardware because they have to be downgraded so much. So that's where you're going to see, not a lot of that kind of stuff happen. But most people don't care as much about that as opposed to the older games being moved over to the newer hardware, right? Yo, check this out, Ferret. So I think we called it, dude, actually, even though we were kind of memeing on it. So, Nintendo partners testing Switch 2 backwards compatibility, reports claim. So, I think this actually goes right alongside with what we found earlier, dude. Interesting and hoping? I know, dude. I've said the whole time that I didn't think Nintendo would do it because they never do, but... you look at what a company's done historically, and Nintendo's historically not been very good at quality of life options like that for their consumers, like backwards compatibility. So I just didn't expect it, but I hope so. That would be great. Yeah, Judas, we've seen the new trailer for Judas. It looks, it's being made by former BioShock developers and everything. It looks very BioShock. It looks like it could be good. We'll see. It's supposed to be coming out this year. Why is it so good to make hard to make a good pirate game? It's not, dude. I don't know, bro. I know it does seem that way, doesn't it? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing not too long ago, Tim Win. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, bro. I don't really understand either, you know? Honestly, I feel like Deadfire, they did a pretty good job. It's not like a total pirate game or anything, but they had a lot of pretty good elements in there, I felt like. I know a lot of people weren't really stoked about a lot of the ship combat stuff, but dude, I thought it was pretty fun for what it was, you know? Buying the new WWE game or UFC 5, go for it, dude. Yeah, go for it and let me know how all those bugs are. Aren't both of those 2K games, dude? No, one's EA, right? UFC's EA, isn't it? I know WWE is 2K. They're basically the same company. They do the same exact thing. Yeah, UFC's EA, yeah, that's what I thought. Right, yeah, fair, yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. Yep. You're right. Yeah. And, you know, obviously Nintendo, it's been harder for Nintendo because they do switch media types more often than any other like console has. Like, dude, PlayStation and Xbox have literally just been on disc forever, you know what I mean? So it's not like it's something that they couldn't do, right? It's like PlayStation and Xbox have had the capability, and it's been known for a long time they've had the capability to give backwards compatibility. They just didn't want to do it because it wasn't lucrative for them, you know? Which is gross. Xbox is much better than they used to be. PlayStation's still trash. Brought a K-drama actor for a PlayStation. Oh, really? Yeah, that's cool, Soup. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that, but I'm not all that surprised either. Yeah. Yeah, gross, dude. Foam stars. What a terribly disgusting thing to see come out from underneath Square Enix, you know? AI-ridden wannabe Splatoon game with just $60 cosmetic bundles, and god dang, dude. Black Wave? I don't even know what that... Wait, what game are you talking? Is that the name of the game, Tinwin? I might not be aware of that one. Yeah, Soup, I'm not surprised that you love it. Yeah, Black Wake. Oh, my bad. It's on Steam. You know, let me take a look. Black 8. How old is this one, dude? Just a ton of AI developed stuff in the game, from art to voice to everything, and it's not necessarily being done in an ethical way. You know? 2020, huh? Interesting. So you played this, dude? Oh, I kind of remember this. Walkstar games. Purely PvP though. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I never tried this. I didn't even try Sea of Thieves. I know a lot of people like Sea of Thieves as well, dude, and I never really jumped in there and tried that either. Yeah, not sure if it's gone bad. That's what I was wondering with the mixed reviews too. But there's always the chance that, you know, people have gotten kind of spoiled on maybe a game like Sea of Thieves and then gone back and tried that game and been like, it's not as good. You know, there's the chance that maybe something like that's happened. So you never know, unless you look into it. Sea of Thieves is good. Yeah, a lot of people like Sea of Thieves. Yep. Let me see. Hold on. see this. So, obviously, you know, we've covered this kind of thing before, which is like, Ferret got you, huh? You know, Square Enix is very, very public about their, like, Web3, AI initiatives, you know, blockchaining, all that kind of stuff. They're full steam ahead on that kind of stuff. That's an article from when? Just the beginning of this year, January, early January. So just about a month, a little over a month ago. So this is very, very current stuff. And then we've covered the fact that Foam Stars is just like riddled with AI, right? AI generated art. Yep. And I think the big thing, like I've said before, I mean, you guys can do your research and look into it, but the big thing for me, look, is like you're never going to get away from the AI generated stuff in gaming nowadays. But as I've said before, it needs to be done ethically, right? And the problem is these big companies don't care about doing it ethically. We see it time and time again, right? So, what they bank on is that they can incorporate AI to the greatest extent possible, with avoiding having to pay people to generate unique art for their projects. They can basically generate AI content without the authorization, because you guys, if you don't know how AI content is made, if it's not being generated off of unique assets being made for that project specifically by artists hired for that project, they're going out and just scouring databases anywhere and everywhere for art to mash together to create these pieces of or these assets for their projects, right? And what that is using assets that they don't have the rights to, assets that they haven't been authorized to use. It's plagiarism, right, at its finest. And so well, and that's kind of the thing, Ferret, is like a lot of these big companies, that's what I was getting at, is that a lot of these big companies are doing it and going, we don't even really care if we get called out, right? We don't even really care if we get called out, because we stand to gain more from it than we stand to lose, right? That's the way they see it, which is why it's important for us to continue to call these companies out for doing this kind of thing. So they go, we're getting called out for it, but eventually these people will forget and just, you know, it is what it is. We stand to gain more than we stand to lose. And it's just a disgusting look, man, at what's happening in the industry right now. Again, I think that, you know, a lot of the AI integrations, AI technologies and stuff can be something that can be utilized to increase the immersiveness of video game development. It can be a more efficient way to do things, but it has to be done the right way. It needs to be incorporated in an ethical manner, which in my opinion means you have to hire people in the first place to create big, massive tables of unique assets, which then can be used by AI tools to break down those things, mash them together, and work off of those unique assets to continue to build, you know, AI generated content for that unique project. But most of these companies aren't doing that. They don't care enough, right? They're gaining too much by it that they don't care about the fact they're getting caught and called out for it. Everybody needs to do their education on it. I mean, that's basically the consensus breakdown from it. You know what I mean? That the way a lot of these companies are doing it. Basically, dude. Yeah, basically. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's also probably part of it. I think we all know why Konami reveals why Silent Hill, the short message, was released for free. Promotion. It's to get people psyched about Silent Hill. And Silent Hill 2 is coming out fairly quickly this year. So it's just, they're trying to get people psyched, right? We know that. Yo, I bet Insomniac Games is not paywalling New Game Plus. You know what I mean? Get wrecked, Sega. Gaming has a major remaster problem. Dude, I've been talking about this for a while. Most recently, disgusting to see Naughty Dog remaster The Last of Us Part 2. There's no need in it. That game wasn't even 4 years old yet, right? I agree, Ferret. Yeah, I can't go a news segment without bringing it up and talking about it because it's just so absolutely disgusting, dude. It is so bad. That's, again, like I said, I think you were lurking. What I said previously was, you know, this is one of those issues that if we don't get behind and keep calling out these companies for doing that kind of stuff, that is these companies being able to set a precedent moving forward that it's okay to do that kind of stuff to us, right? If people support it, if people pay for it, that is basically us telling them that they are good to go with continuing to do that kind of stuff to us moving forward. And that's not okay. That's not okay at all. So that's why I keep bringing it up. I know I sound like a broken record, but for me and the way I feel about stuff and trying to promote a healthier industry for us as consumers, that is a hugely important thing for us to continue to bring up and advocate against, right? Because it was setting a precedent at paywalling things like New Game Plus is just going to snowball into worse and worse and worse things, you know? So I'll keep slamming them for doing that kind of thing and advocating for people to not support them right now until they change that. It's really, really bad. The remaster problem is a thing on two different fronts. I've talked about this a lot too. Naughty Dog was disgusting for remastering, you know, The Last of Us Part 2. That never needed to be done. That game was not even 4 years old yet. It was, in my opinion, a combination of things from Naughty Dog being too scared to do anything new, as well as, you know, seeing the potential for being able to do something where they didn't need to invest a lot of creativeness into anything and be able to just suck more money out of people because they have a big fan base around a game like that, which doesn't look good to me. That feels really bad, actually. So, I mean, honestly, what they remastered the game to go from PS4 to PS5 generation hardware graphic-wise, you know, it's going to be fairly negligible. Honestly, are you going to be able to tell a difference? To an extent, but it didn't need it. Really, it didn't need it. And what they added in some roguelite mode or whatever. Get wrecked, dude. Sony Santa Monica just added in a roguelite mode DLC addition to God of War Ragnarok for free for their community of consumers that had bought that game. So, yeah, get wrecked. I'm not buying it, okay? Then on the other side of the coin here, you've got companies like Soup's favorite, right? Here you go, Soup. Here's your copium, buddy. Rockstar Games releasing a 13-year-old game in RDR1, porting it to newer consoles in Switch and PS5, and not touching it at all, and charging $50 for it, which is absolutely disgusting as well. So when you're talking about remasters, and we're not talking about remakes, right? And to be fair, a game that's 13 years old, at the very least, should have been remastered. At the very least. But they didn't touch the graphics. They didn't touch resolutions, really. They might have done some resolution stuff, but they didn't touch frame rates. They did almost next to nothing for the port of that game. And at the very least, should have been remastered, if not remade. 13 years is you know, warranted of serious consideration for a remake at that point in time. So there's issues on both sides of the coin here. You know, we've got companies that are trying to push out remasters much too soon, you know, and then we've got other companies that are trying to port games over that are, you know, hitting almost a decade and a half old that they don't even want to touch and are still trying to pull $50 a pop out of them. That's gross, man. Yeah, there are plenty of examples of games that have added stuff for free, for sure. Yeah. Yep. And those are two good examples there as well. Yeah. I mean, I think you know, when one of the things I was trying to point out is a AAA versus a AAA there as well, you know. We get a lot more consideration from the indie side of things, which is what you're pointing out there, Ferret, I think. You know, you're talking about Terraria and Stardew Valley. Those are obviously games that are made from indie companies. And I think we get a lot more quality of life, a lot more consideration, a lot more niceties from indie companies, right? It's more of a rarity to see AAA companies treat us well, right? I think that whenever we talk about the AAA side of things and you see something like what Sony Santa Monica did with, you know, just trying to give something back to the fans and the community that have supported the God of War games in such a huge part of those games being, you know, nominated for a lot of awards, being purchased in large part. You know, I think it's important to call it when all these other AAA studios are trying to just find any way they can suck money out of people. But it's important not to forget the indie companies and the things that they do for us too, you know? Absolutely. I try to do that a lot. Yeah, absolutely. I don't expect it from AAAs either, which is why, you know, it's one of those things that stands out when you see it, right? Because you don't see it hardly ever anymore. Oh, yeah. Quadruple A. Dude, I was talking about that earlier. Yeah. Yeah. Skull and Bones is quadruple A, if you guys didn't know. Yeah, from Ubisoft's CEO. Is it Eves or Ives? I think it's Eves. Is it Guillemot? I think that's their name, right? Owns Ubisoft. What a flippin', what a read that was, dude. Looks like Red Dead 2 has officially become the 7th best-selling video game of all time. Yo, I have something up about this Metroidvania, by the way. It's appearing to be very good, actually. Ultros. The Ultros review. Yeah, we're gonna take a look at that. It's a really weird. Dude, I don't know. It looks so psychedelic. There's so much going on the screen. It's almost, whenever I saw the trailers for it previously, it felt hard to keep track of what was going on. I mean, there is a lot of neon going on all over the place, and it was like, holy geez, dude. But we'll take a look and see what reviewers are saying of the game. I love my Metroidvanias, baby, you know. So we'll see. I think this should be changed from game to movie. Hideo Kojima revealed what inspired his new action espionage game. Don't get me wrong. Kojima has been a massive, massive part of this industry for a very long time. He's always been pushing the envelope as far as what progression is and you know, evolution is in gaming and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm not going to be super impressed with where he's headed now. It looks like he's making movies. Cinematic experiences with some interactivity. I'm not about it. You know, if you want to go make movies, go make movies. It's just not, you know, I don't. I'm sure there's a demographic of people that enjoy the whole like, I can just sit here and watch a movie and then I actually get to interact with some of the experience a little bit, and they're cool with that. They enjoy a little bit of that. For me, as somebody that's always played video games and I want to control what's happening in large part of what's going on in the game at most times, this is not something appealing to me. I don't see the appeal personally. It's not. A video game is supposed to be about, you know, The old Dragon Slayer game, yeah. Yeah, they've always been to an extent some, like, I mean, because there are different genres, right? And wasn't the old Dragon Slayer game more of like a point and click kind of thing? Wasn't it? Yeah. I can't remember. Real-time event arcade game. Oh, was it? Dirk the Daring. Dude, I can't even remember. I never really played it. I mean, I remember the game. I remember what it looks like and stuff, but... A lot in Pizza Hut and stuff, yeah. Interesting. The Impossible Game. Do they have like a trailer for it or anything? Full playthrough? 9 minutes and 52 seconds full playthrough. Quick time event video game, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Interesting. Quick-time event video. Basically, the whole game is you watch this animated cutscene. There you have these quick-time prompts like use your sword or dodge this. If you make the wrong choice, you die. Have to restart the section. This game came out in the 80s. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's actually, dude, exactly on point with what I feel like a lot of these games are turning into. You know? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You nailed it, dude, for sure. Yeah, I'd forgotten about this, but yeah, that's kind of wild, man. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it feels, right? That's the way it feels. The thing that's weird for me is, like I've talked about before, it's, you know, it's so negligible nowadays. You can't even really tell the difference between what's a cutscene and what's gameplay anymore, because used to it was really, really noticeable, right? And now all these companies are going, oh, this is all gameplay. And it's like, bro, there's no way. There's no way. Like all these trailers for Hellblade 2, give me a break, dude. What? It's gameplay because you're controlling, you know, Senua walking? Get wrecked, dude. Like, how many trailers have you seen of Senua's Saga, and it's just, there's nothing happening, you know? And they're like, you know, it's like, this is gameplay. Dude, no, it's not. No, it's not. I'm sorry. But, you know, this is, yeah, I mean, that's the way it feels like. There's so many of these titles that are just turning into, it's a cinematic experience, right? Yeah. And like, yeah, or like a quick time event or something, you know, it's mostly just you watching and occasionally pressing a button here and there or holding a joystick or something, you know, and it's like, I don't know, man. For me, that's not a game. And I'm afraid of where Kojima is headed with this, in that same kind of aspect of what, you know, it's too movie. It's too much TV show. You know, they wanted it to be, you know, too much of a cinematic, a visual experience, and not enough video game for me. For somebody that's always loved video games for what they brought to the table is me being in control of what's happening in large part. I think there's something to be said for, you know, great quality cutscenes, giving you a break from some action occasionally, telling good story in cutscenes, giving you some background and lore or story or whatever, you know. It just doesn't appeal to me at all. And from what I think is coming from Kojima for the next game, I think it's a movie. I think it's mostly a movie. Big difference in Dragon's Lair. You could make the wrong choice too. It wasn't just make sure that you get the input. It was choose the correct one. Oh, yeah. Biomutant sit and switch. Oh, look. Kojima claims the new game will make your mom think it's a movie. Bro, I think it's a movie. What do you... Dude, I think it's a movie. Too. And that's not good. Here's the thing. Obviously, with the graphical fidelity that we're dealing with nowadays, a lot of games are being made that your ability to differentiate between what's real and what's CGI is, you can't. It's not there. You can't differentiate anymore. It was inevitable where you get to that point. But you look at a game like Unrecord, which is it looks real, but you're playing that game, right? As opposed to a game like what Kojima's making that looks real, which is more just like a movie you're watching with a little bit of some input from you occasionally, Oh, dude, yeah, some of it's incredible, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not against the realness that's happening of the CGI for the way games are being made. I'm against what's happening with them being turned into a visual experience, mostly. I'm all about the graphical fidelity being increased, and that's just going to increase immersiveness and stuff, as long as it performs well, right? But when you're talking about these cinematic quality, lifelike quality games being made, and they're not really a game, they're just a movie where you're occasionally hitting a button, that's not a video game, dude. It's a movie. Just go make a flippin' movie. It's weird. That's where I have an issue with it. Oh, yeah, we've talked about this. The Elden Ring mobile game being developed, yeah. Take-Two has delayed the new action RPG from Ori developer Moon Studios. Oh, Soup, where's Soup at? Soup, did you fall asleep already? Hey, Soup, GTA 6 release date likely arriving later in 2025 than expected. I think they meant 2035 here, buddy, but I'll pull it up for you. PS Plus games for February lineup revealed. We'll see that's in there. Yeah, dude. We already knew about this. Amazon Prime Gaming is giving away the first Fallout game right now, if you didn't know. Could be some One Piece crossover stuff coming to Fortnite. Looks like, so be on the lookout for that. Xbox exclusive Towerborn gets a beta test? What's this? Okay, let's dive in here, guys. We got all these articles. Let's go. Let's see what we got, man. Kick it off here. Beep, boop, boop. Take-Two has delayed the new action RPG from Ori developer Moon Studios. No Rest for the Wicked is now scheduled to hit Steam Early Access before July. We've seen this, right? Yeah. Take-Two publishing label Private Division has delayed No Rest for the Wicked, the upcoming action RPG from Ori developer Moon Studios. While it was previously due to hit Steam Early Access in the first quarter of this year, it will now arrive in the second quarter of the calendar year instead. Quote, it did get pushed a quarter, and as always, we will move something if we feel like we just want to give it a little more polish so it can be the best bet it can be and be an even more amazing experience for consumers. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick told IGN a launch window for the game's full release on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S has yet to be announced. Moon Studios plans to offer an in-depth look at No Rest for the Wicked's gameplay and systems during a digital showcase on March 1st. Quote, we have been dreaming of being able to contribute to the ARPG genre that we all grew up with and love. After the success of Ori, it was clear to us that Moon was now mature enough to finally realize those dreams. Can't wait to see how players will react to this entirely new take on the genre. For the past 6 years, we've been hard at work on our dream passion project, a next-level ARPG, fueled by our love and ambition for tight gameplay mechanics and world building. Added Gennady Coral, the studio's technology and production director. We're excited to reveal our own take on what we've always envisioned as the core canons of the ARPG genre, while taking the next steps to reimagine the elements we consider ripe for innovation. Yeah. This game actually looks pretty cool. It is it on Steam already? I can't remember. I don't think so. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. Here, let's watch this real quick. Yeah, here you go. My sister fair, she sings like morning. My sister true, she loves. I need coffee. I love the artwork. It's very, very good. One second. Not quite the same. Game looks cool, man. No Rest for the Wicked. I don't think we have this on our schedule right now either. It's what did they say? Second quarter. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. I just brain farted so hard. Pull that up. I'm just going to add this in. Yeah. Game looks like it could be cool, man. So I'm going to add that to the schedule. Seems good. We saw that when, like, end of last year, I think. End of last year, I think we saw that, and it's pretty cool. And I mean, the Ori games were dope. They're not like full-fledged Metroidvanias in my opinion, but they were still very good. They were pretty, and it'll be interesting to see what comes from that. No Rest for the Wicked, yeah. All right, let's see. So that's been delayed. GTA 6 release date likely arriving later in 2025 than expected. Oh, Soup, this is for you, buddy. It seems that the release of Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto 6 will now be coming a bit later than previously anticipated. Upon the arrival of its first trailer a few months back, Rockstar confirmed that GTA 6 was broadly planned to launch sometime next year. A more well-defined window within this year wasn't given. But based on parent company Take-Two Interactive's financial outlook, it seems that an arrival in the first 3 months of 2025 was more than likely. Now, Take-Two has provided a new update for its financials, and it definitely looks like GTA 6 is being pushed back as a result. Yo, it's rando mode time. Try to get you. Oh, bro, perfect. Peepo, poo-poo, and we got Why So Serious, dude. Perfect. Within recent days, Take-Two revised its outlook for the upcoming fiscal year, where it says it now expects to make only $7 billion within this window. Only. Previously, Take-Two estimated that it would generate a staggering $8 billion within this time period, which led many to believe that the Grand Theft Auto 6 would roll out before the fiscal year would come to a close. With Take-Two having now shifted this outlook, though, it's likely that GTA 6 won't arrive between January and March of 2025, as we previously thought might happen. Not a formal delay, not official, but we'll have to keep our eyes and ears open for what's happening. I had told everybody, and I kept telling Soup this too, be prepared for this game to arrive later rather than sooner, and you won't be disappointed, right? That's just the way this works. But, you know, let's go ahead and just throw this in here for our buddy Soup. So... what's his name in... Oh, Jesus, dude. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Yeah. There we go. Here we go. Let's look at these. PlayStation Plus free games for February lineup unveiled. Let's see what we got here. The games will be available between February 6th and March 4th. The lineup includes Foam Stars, Blah! Roller Drome, cool, and Still Rising. Don't support Foam Stars, dude. This is an AI-ridden schemaz dude from Square Enix. This game is like $60 for like any kind of the in-game monetization for things like cosmetics and stuff is just way overpriced. And this game is apparently being built on a large part of AI incorporated technology, not like ethically done or anything either. So just let's don't support this, please. Roller Drome multiplayer shooter in the lineup emerges from the success of Ollie Ollie World, developed by Roll7. The game combines the thrill of roller skating with the intensity of third-person shooters, promising a fast and engaging experience. This game looks sick, actually. Meanwhile, the action RPG Still Rising offers a Souls-like adventure set in a clockwork Parisian design, boasting all the hallmarks of the genre, from stamina bars to challenging boss fights. The game caters to a wide audience with adjustable difficulty options. If you need it, here you go. Nobody getting in on that rando mode, dude. Xbox exclusive Towerborn gets a beta test. Stoic's follow-up to the Banner Saga is getting a beta test on Xbox. Towerborn, fans have been waiting for Towerborn. Some will get a chance to experience it sooner than others. Beta test has been announced for the game and will be available to a select few. Stoic has not revealed exactly how many players will be admitted to the beta or when selections will be made. However, those interested in participating can sign up for the game's Insider program using their Microsoft account and hope for the best. Readers can join the Insider program at the game's official website right here at this link. Release date and platforms. The Xbox Game Showcase last June. Towerborn is the newest game from Stoic. Towerborn is the first new property developed by the studio following multiple entries in the Banner Saga series. Towerborn does not currently have a release date, but will be arriving sometime this year on PC, Xbox One, and Series X and S. Obviously, being a first-party game for Microsoft, it will be launching on Game Pass as well. day one. Come on, man. Yeah, what we got? Vaguely remember this. Let's take a look at this. This is only 15 seconds, so I'm not going to turn my music off, but... It could be okay. It's a very, very quick look there. But we'll add it in there. I'll link it for you guys if you want. There you go. I'll link the article too, as well. There you go. Bam. Ultros review. Let's go, dude. The debut title for Hadok. Ultros is an incredibly impressive Metroidvania with an immense amount of style and passion behind it. Yeah, it looks cool, but man, it also looked really, really like hard to keep up with what was going on because of all the yeah, fair, no worries, buddy. All the neon psychedelic colors and stuff where they pollute the screen, it seemed like. Thanks to games like Axiom Verge, Hollow Knight, and Dead Cells, the Metroidvania genre found a renewed sense of life back in the late 2010s, and it seems like the genre is here to stay this time around, with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown setting a new bar for the genre just a month ago. Somehow, Ultros, a debut title from indie studio Hadok, manages to stand shoulder to shoulder with some of the genre's best. A psychedelic sci-fi 2D Metroidvania, Ultros has some incredibly stiff competition, but its gorgeous art style, beautiful music, and vibrant world manage to set it apart instantly. In Ultros, players take control of a mysterious figure who wakes up aboard a corrupted space station known as the Sarcophagus. The player has one simple goal: escape from the sarcophagus, though how they do that is the central conceit behind Ultros and its meta-narrative that ruminates on life, death, and purpose. At first, Ultros' plot can be a bit difficult to get into with no real in-game story setup. Ultros throws players in at the deep end, and though the player meets several characters quite quickly, the amount of sci-fi techno-babble that's spewed in their direction can be very overwhelming, especially for non-sci-fi fans. That being said, after an hour or two, the vagueness of Ultros' narrative becomes one of the game's biggest highlights. Core mysteries become a driving force. Like, it's very vibrant. Practically everything in Ultros starts as a mystery, from some more obtuse gameplay mechanics, such as the game's surprisingly in-depth gardening system, to the game's overarching narrative. Ultros is filled with mysteries, and while this can be risky for a genre already as mechanically complex as Metroidvanias, the pace at which Ultros unravels its mechanical and narrative mysteries feels near perfect, with each little tidbit of lore and hidden combat tutorial fueling a constant sense of progression that works in tandem with one of the game's biggest twists, its loop system. Another large facet of Ultros that can be extremely off-putting at first, but quickly turns into a major net positive, is the game's loop system. Not content, with being just a Metroidvania, Ultros borrows a few roguelite elements, With its loop system being the main one, the general objective of Ultros, without spoiling too much, is to find a number of shamans strewn across the map and free them from their sarcophagi. Doing this will push the narrative forward, but begin a new cycle for the game, putting the player right back at the start. First time this I'm changing this song. The song weirds me out. Baby girl. The first time this happens, players might feel as though the rug has been violently pulled from underneath them. At the start of a new loop, the player loses all their upgrades and all of their consumables, and they're thrown right back to the start of the map. For those unaware of this loop system, this can feel pretty unpleasant, as though the last hour or so of gameplay didn't accomplish much. But much like Ultros' narrative, the loop system becomes another major highlight of Ultros the more players delve into it, and it soon becomes one of the defining features. While having a loop system in a Metroidvania is nothing too novel, it's how Ultros handles it that makes it so impressive. Though it can be disappointing to lose every upgrade each loop, Ultros quickly introduces a rare resource, lets players permanently keep an upgrade, which adds a nice layer of strategy to the gameplay. As the vast majority of Ultros' character upgrades genuinely matter, from map markings to new combo strains to important stat upgrades,
returning to the very start of the game after each loop also becomes far less frustrating as the game goes on, with players retaining access to their marked out map through each cycle. Thanks to the intuitive level design, by the time players hit their third or fourth loop, they'll already have a pretty good idea of where they are and how to get where they need to be. The loop system is far from just a cheap gimmick, and the developer has gone a long way to ensure that there are enough new gameplay mechanics and evolving story beats to keep players coming back for just one more cycle. The environmental design plays to its biggest strengths. The thing I was worried about was how bright everything is and being able to discern between what you're doing and fighting and the background and everything as well. That was one of the issues that I was worried about. Gameplay-wise, each area in Ultros offers a very distinctive challenge, which is often tied to the new ability that players have unlocked at the end of the prior loop. These abilities are a tad more unique than the usual Metroidvania affair, ranging from abilities that let the player slice through plants, obstructing a pathway, to the ability to fly across portions of the map, as opposed to just a heavy attack that smashes a breakable wall. However, should be noted that while these abilities remain unique throughout Ultros' 10-hour runtime, they lose their novelty and momentum towards the end, with the last few abilities feeling redundant at best and actively damaging to the game's pacing at worst, slowing the game's platforming down to a crawl. The visuals on display in Ultros will immediately grab players' attention, and it's what Hadouken has been rightfully putting front and center in the game's marketing. Thanks to the game's art and creative director Nicholas Elhuarvo Ackerblad, along with a talented team of artists, Ultros' visual probably remain the game's most impressive quality. With an incredibly vibrant, psychedelic art style running through the entire game, some excellent environmental design giving each area a distinctive feel via specific color palettes and scenery details. Sound and music design go hand in hand with visuals to ensure that each and every area in Ultros feels truly unique. Every key moment evokes the appropriate emotional response. Animations are also incredibly impressive, going for a more grounded approach. Player character animations are ironically actually quite similar to those found in the original Prince of Persia game. Combat can feel awkward and unresponsive. Dang it. Unfortunately loses its winning streak here. At the start of the Ultros, players are given a sword, just a 2-string melee combo. Players will only be fighting passive enemies during the first sequence. It isn't a great introduction to combat. Player being extremely limited in what they can do. It also doesn't help that Ultros' combat tutorial comes an hour or two into the game, by which time players will probably figured out most of the game's general combat mechanics through trial and error. Even when players progress through Ultros and unlock some impressive abilities, the game's combat can often feel a bit too unresponsive. That sucks. This issue is felt tenfold during enemy encounters that require the player to jump over the enemy at specific moments. While Ultros' jumping controls work well during its platforming segments, they can be a tad frustrating in the heat of battle. When Ultros' combat doesn't work, which is unfortunately often, it can feel awkward and clunky. 4 stars out of 5. Pros: incredibly unique and vibrant art, bold narrative and gameplay decisions, intuitive Metroidvania level design, music that enhances key moments. Cons: often unresponsive and unsatisfying combat system, and some disappointing late game abilities. It's on, it releases on February 13th, so tomorrow, for PC, PS4, and PS5. This review was played on PS5, I think. What they said. So Ultros, I'll pull it up real quick, just saying it, Soup, and I'll look at what you're saying. Probably some hateful stuff, but I'll take a look. So here you go. Here it is on Steam if you want to take a look. No, Foam Stars probably won't survive till season 6, maybe season 3 to 5. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, they have a roadmap and stuff. I knew they did. I'm not promoting it, dude. I'm not promoting that game at all. There's no way. So I'm not going to talk about the roadmap or anything like that. I don't really care. I'm not a fan of what's going on with that game, and I appreciate the link. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate that link. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. But from what I know about what Foam Stars is and what Square is doing there, I'm not a proponent of trying to, in any form or fashion, talk about anything that could prompt people to want to dive in there and be a part of that. So the roadmap I'll stay away from. Yeah. I think that I've talked enough about why I don't find that game to be appealing and why many people should stay away from it, you know? And so I'll just leave it at that. But hey, dude, I just hit you with an article. Did you see? I hit you with an article in Discord. You want it? Here, I'll give it to you right now. There you go. Look, GTA 6 release date likely arriving later in 2025 than expected. I figured that you would like to hear this, you know. There you go, buddy. I figured you'd be pretty psyched about that. Look, I told you from the get-go, you should just plan on GTA 6 releasing later in the year rather than earlier in the year. And then you won't be disappointed. I told you. All right. I know that feels bad for you, dude, so I'm sorry. Dead Cells support to end following next update. That's interesting. This has been a game that they've poured a lot of time and updates into and everything. I played this game in early access, and it was phenomenal. I haven't played it since. I mean, I played this game when it first released in early access, and it was a lot of fun. But it has evolved greatly since then. It's the end of an era for Dead Cells. All the way back in 2017, Motion Twin first released its roguelike game, Dead Cells in early access. The following year, Dead Cells reached its 1.0 launch and has continued to update since. Some of these expansions have been massive ones. Last year's Return to Castlevania DLC, crossing over with the legendary Konami franchise. Now, after such a long period of continuous support, Motion Twin has announced that it's time to leave Dead Cells in the past. In a new update message shared on Steam, Motion Twin informed players that it's preparing to close up shop on Dead Cells. Specifically, it was said that work on the title will come to an end once Update 35 rolls out. Currently, Motion Twin doesn't have a release date for Update 35. But the studio said that it's working hard to finish the final content patch. Conversely, Update 34 is still slated to come to mobile devices and will be releasing later this year. Quote, Update 35 for Dead Cells marks the end of our creative journey on the game, Motion Twin said in its announcement. After an incredible 5-year collaboration and bringing additional content to Dead Cells live ops, Evil Empire will be pursuing new adventures, and we can't wait to see what they come up with next. This comes after much reflection, especially following the awesome success of the Return to Castlevania DLC last year. Our commitment to avoiding the more of the same trap and keeping Dead Cells fresh and original has led us to this point. As we've seen with other long-running series, it's crucial not to overextend and risk diminishing the unique charm that makes Dead Cells special to us all. The statement continued. This change explains the recent quiet period on updates, as concluding such a partnership required careful planning to ensure a smooth process for everyone, including the community. As always, we will of course continue to find solutions to make sure that all quality of life issues and bugs are properly fixed across all platforms to provide a worthy experience to all of you. While it might be disappointing to see that Dead Cells is reaching the end of its life, this move isn't necessarily a shocking one. Generally speaking, most video games don't receive ongoing support for 7 years, which means that Dead Cells lasted far longer than many surely expected when it first launched. Moving forward, Motion Twin has already announced its next project, Windblown, which will be the company's next major focus. Let's see what Windblown is real quick. 2030 it is. Bro, Soup. You're so funny, dude. Let's see what Windblown is. Oh, we've seen Windblown. We've seen Windblown. If you haven't seen Windblown, you can take a look. But we've talked about this. We've seen this. I just didn't remember what. I couldn't put the name with the trailer in my mind's eye, but we've seen this, yeah. Think like multiplayer, top-down Hades. You know what I mean? Like think Hades, but multiplayer, and it looks kind of cool, man. So see what you think about that. I put the link in there. What in the Bethesda's happening? Dang it, Bobby. Nintendo Switch 2 has a huge feature. The Switch doesn't, reveals rumor. According to a new rumor, the Nintendo Switch 2 is set to come packing with a major feature that the current Switch does not have. As you may know, if you pay attention to the Nintendo rumor mill, the next Nintendo console is supposedly a successor to the Switch. Yeah. What exactly it will be called, rumors don't say, but tentatively, people have been calling it the Switch 2. Right. What is claimed is that it will be revealed this year. Yeah, we've heard that there's going to be maybe a reveal sometime next month. Not a release, but a reveal. I don't expect the new Nintendo hardware to be released for consumers until late summer, sometime into the fall, August timeframe. Fall, autumn timeframe. Before this potentially happens, though, a new rumor surfaced about the console revealing some details about it. More specifically, it has been claimed that the new Nintendo hardware, unlike the Switch, will boast backwards compatibility. Wowee. You know what's funny? I pulled up this article this morning, and I literally was memeing about the fact of it being backwards compatibility, and we were like hee-hawing about this because it was just absurd to even think that this could potentially be a thing. Brought up the article and was just dying laughing because I was like, oh, it's probably backwards compatibility, and we were just memeing about it, you know? Allowing owners of the console to play their OG Switch titles. The rumor doesn't make mention of this, but this presumably means Switch Online will carry over. Wow, dude. That would be a first as well. Including downloads with it, such as special icons. So this needs to happen. I've been talking about this for years now. Nintendo has got to do better about their online presence for their consumers, right? Their online platform needs to be in perpetuity. Yo, what up, Ferret? It needs to stop doing, they need to stop doing this thing where every time they come out with a new piece of hardware, they get rid of their old online platform. It needs to not be called Switch Online anymore either. It needs to just be Nintendo Online. They got to get rid of that Switch part of it or whatever. This needs to be something they need to transform their online presence for their fan base and their consumer base into being something that is perpetually accessible for their consumers moving forward on any device that they still are using, any of their content they still own, any of the eShop availability that's there. It's all there in one place, man. Oh, dude, that sucks. Okay. But this is a start, allowing owners of the console to play their OG Switch titles, and meaning that Switch Online will carry over, including downloads with it, such as special icons. Oh, gross, Soup. Stop it. The rumor doesn't expand on whether this backwards compatibility will extend to physical Nintendo Switch games as well as digital Switch games, but this is presumably the plan. It should. It should. I've said this for a while now. Xbox and PlayStation are running on basically archaic kind of media, right? You're talking about discs. Discs should have gotten rid of discs already. Nintendo has been smart enough to move into the realm of using like memory cards or storage cards, right? Like SD cards, micro SD cards, whatever. Bro, that was weird. My monitor just flickered. Yeah, everything's fine, I'm sure. Everything's fine. Somebody just hacked me. And anyways, it's you know, as big as games are getting, right? We've seen issues already in the industry of massive titles being pushed out that either they won't do physical editions of them because it would require them to be printed on multiple discs, and companies don't want to do that anymore. Or they're pushing out physical copies where you've only got one disc, and then you have to download like an additional 50 gigs worth of data, which for a lot of people, you know, they're not fans of that. People that don't have good internet or don't have internet at all, that is totally taking away the entire, reason why they're buying a physical game. They need all that data to be on one disc or on multiple discs or whatever. And so I've said this before, Xbox and PlayStation need to get away from optical media. It's old, it's not big enough, and Nintendo has been smart enough to evolve with the first Switch, their current generation, which 2017, they evolved right into the micro SD cards and stuff. What was the Wii U one? What did the Wii U use? I don't even remember. I didn't have a Wii U, so... Were they discs? Yeah, the Wii U was disc as well. So that's what I thought. So they didn't move over until the Switch, but it was a very, very smart move. That's why I didn't think the Wii U had done it, but the Switch did, which was smart. Yeah. It'd be kind of cool to see micro SD sized cards for. I mean, that's the best kind of, in my opinion, media that could be used currently for physical video games. If you're gonna have physical video games, then having a micro SD card to be able to put all, because SD cards have the amount of storage that can be put on an SD card is far surpasses anything that optical discs can, right? What? What are you talking about? No. SD card capacity, it far exceeds what can fit on a Blu-ray disc, dude. But it doesn't matter. What you're talking about, doesn't it stream data from the disk? It doesn't matter. That's the same thing as you talking about, the streaming data, from if you're reading media, right? You're talking about the difference between a hard disk drive. Virtually, a hard disk drive is just a storage medium that uses platters of disks to read storage, as opposed to a solid state drive. That's the same exact thing here. If a game can be read from an optical media, a game can be read data wise from a solid state drive or a micro SD card as well. It doesn't matter. It can be read from either one. This is another issue of just the difference between availability of technology, though. Availability of technology, right? So the same thing we talked about with hard disk drives, were the prominent thing after, floppy disks, right? And that transition took a while because HDDs were expensive for a while over what floppy disks were. It's the evolution of technology and the availability to the consumer of supply versus demand, right? When supply's low, the cost is up because a lot of people want it and there's not enough of it, right? It's the same thing that we've seen for the transition of solid state drives from hard disk drives now, right? It's getting there. We've actually, in a lot of the lower capacities, we've talked about this, lower capacities like under 2 terabytes. The price is fairly negligible anymore from solid state drives to hard disk drives, right? If you want large capacity, hard disk drives are still, much more, price effective, but it's getting there. Same thing is to be said here. SD cards in a larger storage capacity are getting much cheaper than they ever used to be. So I think that where we're at with, and look, man, micro SD cards, SD cards in general, they're just miniature storage solutions of solid state storage capacity. That's all it is, right? And with the solid state storage solutions that we're getting more prominent, more, cheaper every day. It has been over the past half decade, more and more. Then this is the way they need to go, right? You're talking about when you get up into these, right, up to 2 terabytes, right? And then this is 128 terabytes. And you're talking about what's a Blu-ray disc? A Blu-ray disc is not that high, actually. So look at this. What is it, like 150 gigs or something? $128 gigs. Quadruple layer Blu-ray disc is 128 gigabyte capacity. Right? So, which is nothing compared to what you can put on a micro, and it's so. In my opinion, they should have already moved over. I think for the next generation of consoles, they absolutely need to. Games are getting too big, just too big. But this is funny that we're kind of memeing about this, and this is actually what they're talking about, right? Well, physical games are going away in large part, but it's been a much slower thing to be adopted by the console side of gaming than PC, obviously, right? PC, dude, has been virtually totally digital forever now. It seems like, anyways, but consoles had a much tougher time with it. There's different reasons for it. We've talked about it a lot, So, but it is happening. It's still slowly moving towards a totally digital front, and some of it's consoles, there's an amount of nostalgia for people, which is why there's been slower adopting of digital. An amount of it is the collector side of it, where people still like collectors. Collectors like to have the physical stuff. Some of it is the ability to play a game without the use of internet, right? There are some people that have no internet at all. They have which they're still missing out on, like day one patches and stuff, but they can still play the game. There's still people in the world that don't have internet. They need physical copies and stuff, and there's a reason why consoles been slower to adopt. All right, there's even more than that, but those are some of the major ones anyways. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh yeah, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, and fair. That's just another additional. When you talk about optical versus solid state in a storage solution, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even come close at all ever to the reading writing speeds ever. It doesn't ever come close. You're absolutely right, fair. That's a very good point, dude. Yeah. So not only is the capacity going to be, much greater to be able to handle, what I mean, how much can be put on there for the physical games and everything, but the load times, anything that needs to be written or read or anything like that is just incredibly faster, so much faster. Absolutely right, dude. Good point. Yeah, so the other thing I had up was just this, which was another talk of the backwards compatibility that we just talked about, so we'll just leave that one. Let's get into this. Phil Spencer has reportedly assured employees Microsoft won't stop making Xbox consoles. The executive is claimed to have addressed online reports in an internal town hall meeting. I've talked about this a bit in depth already about what my inkling is for where Microsoft is headed, and also about where I feel like Microsoft needs to be with their console, with hardware wise and stuff, you know. I'm going to just say that if you're not aware, and I've talked about this before, Microsoft has forever, in the console realm of competing against PlayStation and Nintendo, they've always only sold about half as much hardware and proprietary software as either one of those other companies. Almost in every single generation, almost half as much as each of the others. Not those two combined, half as much as PlayStation, half as much as Nintendo. Nintendo and PlayStation normally compete on a much closer level, and Xbox is, you know, half or, you know, of what at least PlayStation is, you know. As well as the fact that Xbox has traditionally not made very much money on hardware sales. Xbox, even in this current generation of console, I think they make, and I could be getting this backwards, they make like maybe $20 on the Series S, and they lose a little bit of money on the Series X or something. It's something to that effect. So they're virtually breaking even. It's negligible. They're not making money off of hardware. You know, so they're not selling as much as the competitors, and they're not even making money off their hardware. It's literally just a price point to get people into their platform, to be a part of their platform, to be a part of their services. That's where their bread and butter is, by the way. Their bread and butter is their services. Cloud gaming, streaming platform, all that stuff, right? And that leads me into the notion that, you know, I could see Xbox pivoting into something that plays better for their services. Something maybe even closer to what the Switch is. You know, something that is a mobile console as well as something that can be docked and play that dual role as a traditional console that provides people access to all their services and everything still, but doesn't necessarily compete with PlayStation as what a traditional console is, you know, or even moving into having something of more a small form factor type of console that provides people simply access to their services. You know what I mean? That again is not trying to pump out the latest and greatest hardware, because it's just not benefiting them like the other console companies are. I don't know what they have planned necessarily. And look, we're still about 3 years away from finding out what the next console, the next hardware iteration is going to be by PlayStation and Xbox, right? But I could see them pivoting away and not trying to play this, you know, competitive war anymore on the front of what PlayStation offers, and doing something a bit different that plays a bit nicer towards what services they offer, right? I could see that. Let's see what Phil is saying here, though. Microsoft's gaming division reportedly held an internal town hall meeting this week to address reports that could be bringing some of its first-party games to other console platforms. Right. According to, we've covered that as well. According to journalist Shannon Lau, Microsoft's head of gaming, Phil Spencer, told employees that Xbox currently has no plans to stop making consoles. The Xbox consoles will continue to be part of its strategy, which involves multiple kinds of devices. Right? Publicly, Microsoft has remained silent on the recent reports that it could bring games, including its key exclusive Starfield, to PlayStation 5, other than announcing that it will hold a business update sometime next week. We're listening and we hear you, Phil wrote on X earlier this week. We've been planning a business update event for next week, where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned. It's claimed that multiple major Xbox exclusives, Starfield, Hi-Fi Rush, Indiana Jones, Sea of Thieves has also been mentioned, could be released on PS5 as part of the significant strategy shift from Microsoft's gaming division. Should recent reports prove to be accurate on the service, that move would represent a significant change in Microsoft's gaming strategy, which has previously seen it keep its biggest and first new party releases exclusive to its consoles. Now look, anybody that thinks that moving forward, Xbox and Microsoft are still going to release their games and they're automatically going to be releasing on other platforms, you're wrong. They're still going to be exclusive for a period of time because Xbox is still, their golden goose, dude, is their subscription service, right? Game Pass. And any kind of big name, first party, proprietary title out of Microsoft and Xbox is still going to be exclusive for a period of time. But I can, this is something I see being an easier pivot for Xbox to make. Again, I've talked about this too. Easier for Xbox to make because of their stance in the console market. They're able to pivot away from the traditional, market strategy in trying to give more people access to their titles, which means more money for them, right? And more brand recognition for them as well, right? So whereas PlayStation has played this very traditional role of, we will never release our proprietary games day one, even on our own subscription service, let alone any other platform besides PC, which is finally happening, right? Over the past half decade, we've seen a lot more PlayStation proprietary games hit PC finally. And Nintendo, obviously, right? They're just super traditional and never. We're seeing a change in Microsoft being more open to just putting their content everywhere. Now, look, one of the other things, we've got a lot of people in the gaming enthusiasts and stuff that are raw Nintendo or raw PlayStation, and they want to try and act like this is a win for their platform. Really, it can be seen a lot of different ways. And honestly, I see this as something that can also be seen as a win for Microsoft. Microsoft is getting their content out there in front of other people, and they're going to be seen as a nicer console developer in the eyes of many people, because they are giving people the opportunity to play their software on other platforms where the other platforms are not. How many times this past year in 2023 did you see people throwing a fit because, well, I don't get to play Starfield because I have a PS5, or I don't get to play Final Fantasy 16 because I don't have a PS5, or whatever. You know what I mean? People are always throwing fits because of the exclusivity that happens in the console market, the console industry side of gaming. And Xbox is not going to be seen in that light anymore. Xbox is going to be seen in the light of, we're giving many, many more people, no matter what platform, access to our content, right? The other thing that people have to be hyper aware of here is, how many times over the history of gaming have we seen companies fall out of the console competition? Yeah, you talk about Atari or Sega Genesis, things like that, right? It's not a good thing. For those people that think, yay, I'm a PlayStation fan and PlayStation 1, or yay, I'm a Nintendo fan and Nintendo 1, because they think that maybe Xbox is falling out of the race, right? I don't think that's the case, to be fair here. I don't think that's the case. But if you think that that's a positive, it is not. Less competition literally means that there is not as much of a catalyst there for your company you're a fan of to bring you better quality products to the table, and they will also be at a higher price point. So with less competitors, you get usually lower quality products at a higher price point, because there aren't as many players in that field raising the bar, raising the standard, and that's what competition does, right? So if you think that you're going to sit there and go, rah, 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 my company that I'm a fan of is winning because we're getting rid of one of the competitors in the industry and stuff. And again, I don't think that's the case. I think that Xbox is finally just conceding to the fact that they can't play the console war the way it's traditionally. They're trying to pivot away from the traditional fight. They're still there. It's just they're changing the way they're going to fight their part of this war, right? But be very careful what you wish for. Because if you think that, you being a big fan of your platform and getting rid of other competitors in the market is a win for you, it's not. It's not. We've seen it happen many a times on the front of just the landscape of software development, where there have been so many companies, EA, that have become the only companies that can make simulation sports games and stuff, and they suck. There's no competition. They never evolve the quality of their games, right? It's not a good thing to not have competition. So I don't think that Xbox is going away. I think they are changing their strategy, but be careful about what you wish for here. Although not officially confirmed, the reports led to a major backlash within the Xbox community, including from notable Xbox influencers with large followings, some of whom have speculated it could mark the beginning of the end of Microsoft's console business. I don't think this is the end of it. I think it's the end of them trying to play the same console war that they have traditionally. They're still going to have devices. It's just not going to be the same as it always has been. Microsoft has always had to be more inventive and lead the way in trying to be a more progressive company in this realm of competing with PlayStation and Nintendo to stay alive. And they've done it quite often. I mean, they've done a lot more inventive stuff. Nintendo's very inventive with their hardware, don't get me wrong. But there's with their services and stuff like that. Microsoft Xbox has found a way to constantly be changing the way people approach gaming and remain competitive in a market that, they've not, in the traditional sense of the way the market has worked, they haven't been very good at. So I don't think they're dying off. I don't think they're not going to have devices. I think they're just continuing to evolve and change and try and find ways to themselves remain competitive in a non-traditional way. I think they'll be okay. But time will tell, right? Time will tell. Okay. Helldivers 2, the first day this game was released, it was getting raked through the trenches, dude. It was not very good. It's the reviews were pretty bad. The performance was pretty not good, but they came out with a lot of patches pretty quickly. It looks like they've kind of changed things over pretty fast, and people are enjoying it. So, that's all you could really ask for. No game is without its issues on release. You always want to see a game be released in a polished state with very, very few issues. It's just not always the case. Now, the way this looked initially was that this game was released before it probably should have been released. But they've been able to actually turn this around very, very quickly. So apparently it wasn't in as bad of a state as maybe it appeared to be to a lot of people, as they got this kind of turned around pretty quickly. I actually watched some gameplay the other day. It looked decent because I was away all weekend. I didn't have a whole lot of time, but I did want to see what Helldivers 2 looked like and what people were gameplay wise experiencing and stuff. If it looked glitchy, if it looked buggy, if they were having troubles with matchmaking, stuff like that. It looked okay, dude. From what I saw, it looked decent. So let's dive into this real quick. And Helldivers 2 concurrent Steam player record is PlayStation Studios' highest yet. Despite launch issues, the PC version has hit a higher peak than God of War. According to Steam database, the game's peak concurrent player count is currently 81,840, which was achieved at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. So this was roughly 4 days ago, 3.5 days ago. This gives it a higher peak concurrent player count than God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, Last of Us Part 1, or any other Steam game published by PlayStation Studios. The current top 10 peak concurrent player counts achieved by PlayStation games on Steam is as follows. Helldivers 2, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, Last of Us Part 1, Days Gone, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Helldivers. Let me point something out here, though. No, not higher than Pal World. No. Not even close. Are you kidding me? Not even close to Pal World. So, Pal World, I don't know what the highest was. Pal World surpassed over 2 million concurrent players on Steam at one point. 2 million. $2 million. So, you wish, Soup. Keep trying to spread that misinformation, buddy. 2 million compared to 81,000, dog. No. Not even close. Barely a fraction. Barely a fraction. Now, let me point out something else here. The difference between Helldivers 2 and a lot of these other games came out later than they originally released. Helldivers 2 is a day one release across PC and PS, PlayStation at the same time, right? But you're going to talk about some games like God of War, Spider-Man Remaster, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, Last of Us Part 1, Days Gone, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and I don't know about Helldivers 1, but the other top 2 through 9, these are all games that released after their original games. So after the game originally released on PlayStation, later on, it released on PC. So, there is a chance that had God of War released on PC the same time it released on PlayStation, it would have had more concurrent players than 73,000. Same thing with Spider-Man and Horizon Zero Dawn, but that wasn't the case, right? So, yes, Helldivers 2 currently holds the number 1 spot for PlayStation games concurrent player on Steam, but there's a big difference here between number 1 and the rest of the top 9. Okay, 2 through 9, there's a big difference there. There's potentially a lot of people that play both PC and PlayStation that had they had the option of playing on PC on release, they would have. So these numbers could have been higher. Although the game's PC launch numbers are seemingly cause for celebration at Sony, it didn't get off to the perfect start in terms of player satisfaction. Shortly after the game was released on Thursday, reviews on the game's Steam page were graded mixed, with only around 52% of submitted reviews being marked as positive. This is what we saw initially, right? This is what we saw initially. So this is why I was a bit worried about the state of the game initially, and I'll bring it up on Steam and I'll show you, because this is a bit, the smirk is about the fact that they want to give this, you'll see this a lot, the smirk is about not having all the details, right? So they want to show you that like Helldivers 2 is better than God of War and Spider-Man Remastered and Zero Dawn, but they're not talking about what I just told you either, right? And if you consider that fact, Helldivers 2 wouldn't potentially be number one had these games released on PC at the same time that they released on PS5. So there's something to be said here for making sure that people have all the information they need to understand about, you know, Helldivers 2 potentially wouldn't be the number one game concurrently played PlayStation release on Steam ever had the rest of these games been in the same situation as Helldivers 2. But they don't talk about that, right? The general consensus among the negative reviews appeared to revolve around server issues and the game's tendency to crash. Some players tying the latter to the game's use of an InProtect Game Guard anti-cheat software. Since then, however, the tide appears to have shifted somewhat. The game is still tagged as mixed, not anymore. I think it's actually mostly positive. On the Steam store, its ratio has improved with around 68% of reviews now showing as positive. Well, I'll pull it up in a second. We'll see. But this was, I think, an article from around the weekend, beginning of the weekend. Yeah. So let me pull it up and we'll see what the rating is. Mostly positive now, yeah. So it's up to 74% positive, which again, I mean, this game released 4 days ago, right? 4 days ago. It started off at a 58. It's almost jumped up 20% positive since then, which is a good look. It's still not a fantastic rating. It's respectable. It's okay. It's mediocre. It's a 74. It's a 74. It's not fantastic, but it's not bad, right? It's like, it's okay. They've already surpassed 1 million sales as well. Helldivers 2 was released on PS5 and PC. It quickly became one of the most talked about topics in gaming, despite some teething issues that brought down immediate reviews of the game. On platforms like Steam, the resiliency of the team deploying hotfixes could not be denied. And with that, the game became PlayStation's biggest launch on PC to date. On Twitter, the CEO of Arrowhead, the game's developer, stated that sales were around 1 million, referencing the game has already blown through estimates. It seems that even the game's issues aren't preventing Helldivers 2 from seeing success, as creators and players the world over take to social media to share clips and positive reviews of the title. There were some issues with matchmaking and network stability. What I read was that matchmaking with randos to begin with wasn't working at all. But if you had friends, you could matchmake with friends and it was fine. Network stability, they're still hitting some players, but for the most part, it's stabilizing. Hours ago, the CEO of Arrowhead said on Twitter that Helldivers 2 had hit around 1 million sales. Yep, huge milestone after 3 days on the market. Looks like they've got a current user base of around 220,000, considering both PlayStation and PC for the game. That's what it looks like right now. We'll see how it goes moving forward. I was actually interested in trying this out, but the early reviews were a bit rough for me. And you can see there aren't really any critic reviews for this, unfortunately, which is kind of weird. The user reviews on Metacritic are up at an 8.1. Critic reviews, there are very few critic reviews for this game, which is kind of weird. But an 8.1 of 408 user ratings right now on Metacritic, which is pretty solid. And it's not all that far from really what you're seeing on Steam right now as well. So pretty solid look. I, applaud Arrowhead for sticking with. They took care of the game really quick. There were some pretty bad issues to begin with, and they really took care of the consumer base, the fan base around this game, and made sure that very, very quickly everybody was able to get in and play this game. So you love to see that. No game is necessarily without its flaws and rough edges on release, and quite often there are a lot of unforeseen issues, and they took care of stuff pretty quick. The game looks dope, man. It does look pretty cool. We'll continue to pay attention. Who knows? Maybe we'll end up diving in at some point. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the news, my dudes. It's great to be back. I appreciate everybody chiming in this morning and helping out with the news segment as always. It feels so flipping good to be back, dude. So we're going to play some Fallout New Vegas. I'm going to try to finish up Fallout New Vegas, dude. We got to get that game finished. So we're going to play Fallout New Vegas all day. We're going to try to get that game finished up and get prepared to move on to something new. We'll figure out what that's going to be. And but not until we get done with Fallout New Vegas. And we got all the DLC done. We just got to kind of push through the end of the main game here and get this taken care of. So that's what we're going to do. Anybody who's been able to hang out this morning and you're not familiar with what we do, this is our jam, man. 6 days a week, every day but Wednesday. We start off at roughly 6 a.m. CST CDT. We kick it off with video gaming news. Before we dive into playing games for the rest of the day, man. That's what we do. We like to stay current on what's happening in the industry, promote the good companies in the industry, call out the ones that are doing bad stuff, promote a healthier industry for us as gaming enthusiasts and consumers. And I don't know, man. After we do all that, we go play games and have a good time. I have a lot of laughs and enjoy each other's company, man. This is an amazing community full of awesome people. And we're always looking for more good people to be a part of what we do, man. So try to present a place where people can always feel welcome and safe, and present an environment that people can be civil about things. You don't always have to agree with everything, but be civil about stuff, as well as just spreading good vibes, being void of negativity, toxicity and stuff, and just try to be a place where people can always feel like they can come here and have a good time and lean on one another if people are going through hardships or whatever, So if you can dig that, come be a part of it. We're always looking for more cool people to be a part of what we do. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I'm sorry I wasn't here for it. Just had that family stuff going on, So, but I'm glad to be back. And we'll be back to regular programming for the foreseeable future. So, I don't know. I guess stay healthy, stay safe, be kind. We'll be back with more video gaming news tomorrow morning for February 13th. And until then, I don't know, man. Let's get ready to do some gaming stuff. So I'll run us our outro real quick to sum up the news segment. But I'm not going anywhere. Stream's not going down. You guys just hold tight, and I'll be right back.